Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins All World, where we explore the world of rare and valuable coins. Today, I have something that might surprise you, a humble coin that most of us don't think twice about, the 1971 Lincoln penny. But wait, before you dismiss this as just another penny, stick around, because this little piece of history could be worth far more than you think. When you think of valuable coins, you probably think of big silver or gold pieces, right? But the truth is, some of the most valuable and sought-after coins are actually the ones we see every day in our change. The 1971 Lincoln penny is one of those hidden gems, and if you're a collector, or even if you've just inherited a jar of old pennies, you'll want to keep your eyes peeled. So, why is the 1971 Lincoln penny so special? Let's start with the basics. The Lincoln penny has been in circulation since 1909, and it has undergone several changes in design over the years. The 1971 edition, for example, still features the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the famous Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, which was designed by Frank Gasparo. It's a familiar coin to many of us, but here's the thing, the 1971 penny is a rare collector's item, particularly if it's in good condition or has a specific minting error. Now, you might be wondering, what makes this coin worth so much? Well, the value of the 1971 penny lies in a few key factors. First and foremost, it's all about rarity and condition. Coins that have been well preserved, untouched by wear and tear, are worth significantly more than those that have been used in daily transactions. A mint condition penny is far more desirable to collectors because it's a piece of history that hasn't been altered by time, but here's the real kicker. The 1971 penny is especially valuable if it has minting errors. Minting errors occur when the coin is struck incorrectly during the production process. There are several types of errors that can make a coin like this one extremely rare and worth a small fortune. One of the most coveted errors for the 1971 Lincoln penny is the double die error. This occurs when the coin is struck multiple times by the die, causing the image to appear doubled or misaligned. If you're lucky enough to find a double die 1971 penny, you could be looking at a coin that's worth much more than face value. Another error to keep an eye out for is an off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process, causing the design to be printed off-center. These coins are highly collectible because they are unique, and each one is different from the next. If you happen to find a 1971 penny with an off-center strike, that could be the treasure you've been searching for. Now, let's talk about mintage. While millions of 1971 pennies were produced, the number of coins in mint condition with rare errors is incredibly small. That's why coins like these are so valuable to collectors. Whether it's a double die error, an off-center strike, or even a misaligned die, finding a 1971 Lincoln penny with any of these errors could really boost its value. But the 1971 penny isn't just valuable because of its errors. The year 1971 also marked an interesting period in U.S. coinage. In 1971, the U.S. government began producing pennies with a new composition, a blend of copper and zinc, rather than the older copper alloy mix. This change in material, coupled with the unique errors that occurred, means that the 1971 penny is particularly prized by those who study U.S. coinage history. Here's the exciting part: if you've got a well-preserved 1971 Lincoln penny, especially one with a minting error or rare feature, it could be worth an astonishing $44,000. Yes, $44,000 for a single penny. Imagine finding one of these in a jar of old change or in your pocket. What a lucky day that would be. So, if you've got any old pennies lying around, make sure to take a closer look at them. Check the date, inspect the details, and look for any minting errors that might make your 1971 Lincoln penny a rare treasure. Even if you don't find a double die or off-center strike, don't forget that mint condition coins can still fetch a nice price. Today, we're about to dive into a hidden gem of U.S. coinage, the 1966 Lincoln penny. This little copper coin, which seems so ordinary at first glance, could be worth a small fortune. You might be surprised to learn that a simple 1966 penny, in pristine condition or with the right minting error, can fetch serious money in the collector's market. So, let's rewind the clock for a second. The 1960s was a transformative time for the United States. While the world was changing politically and socially, the U.S. Mint was also making changes to its coinage. The 1966 Lincoln penny is part of a major era in the history of American currency. And while it may not seem like a particularly special year for most people, it holds significance for collectors. The design of the 1966 penny is something we all know well. On the obverse, we have the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. On the reverse, we have the Lincoln Memorial, a design that's been featured on the penny since 1959. However, what sets the 1966 penny apart isn't just its design. It's the rarity and the conditions in which it was produced. Now, let's talk about the rarity of this coin. The 1966 penny, like most pennies, was minted in large quantities. About 4.2 billion of them were produced that year. But what you need to know is that not all of these pennies are created equal. Most were circulated, spent, and worn down over the years, leaving very few in mint condition. If you find one that's in exceptional condition, it's something collectors are desperately searching for. But here's where things get really interesting. The 1966 penny isn't just rare because of its age or mintage. What really makes it valuable are the minting errors that occurred. Minting errors are when something goes wrong during the production process, resulting in a coin that's different from the norm. These errors are extremely sought after by collectors, and if you happen to find a 1966 penny with one of these errors, it could dramatically increase its value. One of the most well-known errors for the 1966 penny is the double die error. A double die occurs when the coin is struck multiple times by the die, but not perfectly aligned. This results in a doubled image on the coin, where the details appear more than once. Sometimes it's subtle, and sometimes it's really noticeable. If you've got a 1966 penny with a double die, you've got a treasure on your hands. Another error that makes the 1966 penny valuable is the off-center strike. This happens when the penny is struck incorrectly, and the design appears to be shifted or misaligned on the coin. An off-center penny is unique and can be a real prize for any serious collector, as it is a one-of-a-kind piece. There's also the possibility of finding a clipped planchet error. This occurs when a piece of the metal planchet, the blank piece of metal that is struck to create a coin, is missing, resulting in a coin with an unusual shape or incomplete design. These kinds of errors are incredibly rare, and a 1966 penny with this error would make it extremely valuable. But even beyond errors, the condition of the 1966 penny plays a massive role in determining its value. Most of the pennies from this year were circulated for decades, making them worn and damaged. However, if you find one that has been kept in pristine condition, it can command a premium in the collector's market. Coins that are in mint state, with no visible wear, scratches, or discoloration, are far more valuable than their well-worn counterparts. Now, let's get to the most exciting part, the value. A standard 1966 Lincoln penny is worth just 1 cent in face value, but if it's in mint condition or has one of those rare minting errors, it can be worth way more. How much more, you ask? Well, a perfectly preserved 1966 penny, especially one with a double die error or off-center strike, can be worth an astounding $56,000. Yes, $56,000 for a single penny. Can you imagine the excitement of stumbling upon a 1966 Lincoln penny in your coin collection, and realizing it could be worth that much? It's a rare treasure that could turn a casual coin hobby into a small fortune. So, if you're digging through your old coins, be sure to keep an eye out for the 1966 Lincoln penny. Whether it's in pristine condition or has one of those rare minting errors, this penny could be the key to unlocking a serious profit. Coins like these don't come around often, so when you find one, make sure to hold onto it and get it evaluated by a professional coin grader. Today, we're diving into a coin that may look simple at first glance but has captivated the attention of collectors everywhere, the 1981 Lincoln penny. You might be thinking, a penny from 1981? How special could that be? Well, buckle up, because you might be surprised to learn just how valuable this penny can be, especially if you happen to come across one with the right characteristics. Stick around as we explore what makes the 1981 Lincoln penny so unique and why it could be worth an incredible $36,000. Let's set the stage first. The 1981 Lincoln penny was minted during a period of great change for U.S. coinage. By the early 1980s, the U.S. Mint was already undergoing significant changes to its production processes. However, unlike some of the other more widely known rare coins, the 1981 penny slipped under the radar, making it somewhat of a hidden gem. With over 13 billion of these pennies produced that year, it's easy to assume that finding one of these in good condition would be pretty common. But that's far from the case, and the key to its value lies in condition, errors, and rarity. Now, let's dive into the design. On the obverse of the penny, you'll find the well-known portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner. The reverse features the Lincoln Memorial, a classic design that was used on the penny from 1959 to 2008. Nothing too out of the ordinary here, right? So, what makes this 1981 penny stand out? First off, let's talk about condition. As with all rare coins, the value skyrockets when the penny is in exceptional condition. Most 1981 pennies were circulated extensively and have been worn down over time, with many showing scratches, discoloration, and general wear and tear. Finding one that is still in mint state, with a sharp design and no visible marks or tarnishing, is a rare find in itself. Coins that are graded MS 67 or higher can bring in much higher values because collectors are always on the lookout for well-preserved specimens. It's not just a matter of nostalgia, it's about rarity and condition. And the better the condition, the more you're looking at. Now, let's move on to the errors that make the 1981 Lincoln penny even more valuable. Minting errors are often what take a coin from being worth its face value to becoming a highly coveted collectible. In fact, some minting errors make these coins extremely rare, and finding one with an error could easily increase its worth by thousands of dollars. For the 1981 penny, there are a couple of well-known errors that are worth keeping an eye out for. One of the most sought-after errors for the 1981 penny is the double die obverse. This happens when the die that stamps the design onto the coin misaligns during the minting process. The result is a doubled image, especially noticeable on the date and the inscription, Liberty, on the obverse. A penny with this error is a true collector's dream. The extra detail, while subtle, can make a world of difference when it comes to its value. If you happen to find a double die version of the 1981 penny, you're sitting on a potential goldmine. Another possible error is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is struck off-center, leaving part of the design incomplete or skewed. This kind of minting error is relatively rare and can make a coin more interesting and valuable to collectors. An off-center 1981 penny can easily be worth much more than a typical one. A particularly interesting error that some 1981 pennies have is the clipped planchet. This error happens when a portion of the metal planchet is missing or improperly cut before it's struck by the die. The result is a penny that looks irregularly shaped and can be quite unique. A clipped planchet penny is a rare find, and one from 1981 could be highly valuable to the right buyer. While these minting errors are certainly the most exciting aspect of the 1981 penny, even a standard 1981 penny in exceptional condition can be worth significantly more than its face value. Remember, the rarity of these coins, combined with the potential for minting errors and exceptional condition, makes them highly desirable for collectors. So, you might be wondering, just how much could this unassuming penny really be worth? If you happen to have a pristine 1981 Lincoln penny, or even better, one with a minting error, you could be looking at a value of up to an astounding $36,000. Yes, you heard that right, $36,000 for a penny that was minted in 1981. Isn't it crazy to think that something so small and seemingly insignificant could hold such immense value? That's the magic of coin collecting. It's about finding those hidden treasures that can turn a simple hobby into a life-changing opportunity. Whether it's the exceptional condition, double die errors, or off-center strikes, there are so many ways a 1981 Lincoln penny could increase in value. So, next time you're digging through your coin collection, keep an eye out for that 1981 Lincoln penny. It could just be the ticket to a nice little fortune. If you're lucky enough to find one in mint state or with a rare error, make sure you get it properly graded by a professional. You might just be sitting on a $36,000 penny. Today, we have a special treat for you. We're diving into one of the most interesting and often overlooked coins in the world of numismatics, the 1982 Lincoln penny. Now, you might be thinking, a penny from 1982? What makes that so special? But trust me, this seemingly simple coin hides a world of intrigue, rarity, and potential wealth for those who know what to look for. If you're a coin lover, you're going to want to stick around for this one. We're going to talk about why the 1982 Lincoln penny is so valuable and what errors to look for that could make it worth a staggering $38,000. Let's take a trip back in time for a moment. The 1982 Lincoln penny was produced during a year of major changes for U.S. coinage. In fact, it marks the year when the United States Mint switched the material composition of the penny. Prior to 1982, pennies were made mostly of copper. But in that year, due to rising copper prices, the Mint decided to reduce the copper content and switch to a copper-plated zinc composition instead. This change created two distinct versions of the penny, one made from the traditional copper composition, and the other made with the new copper-plated zinc composition. Here's where things get interesting. This is where the potential for value comes in. While most people think of the 1982 penny as just another common piece of change, coins made from the original copper are actually quite rare and valuable. In fact, many of these copper pennies were mistakenly stamped and found their way into circulation despite the Mint's new regulations. This tiny mistake has become a holy grail for collectors. But how can you tell the difference between the two types of 1982 pennies? The easiest way is by weight. The copper version weighs about 3.11 grams, while the copper-plated zinc version weighs just 2.5 grams. If you happen to come across one of the original copper versions, you've got yourself a true rarity. But there's even more to this story. Now, let's talk about something that can really elevate the value of a coin: minting errors. These unexpected mistakes that happen during the manufacturing process are a big reason why coins like the 1982 Lincoln penny can be worth so much money. There are a couple of errors that are particularly exciting for collectors, and they can make a huge difference in the price of the coin. One of the most desirable and valuable errors to look out for is the double die error. This happens when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned, causing the image to appear doubled. On a 1982 penny, you may notice a doubled date or liberty on the obverse, or the mint mark might be doubled as well. A penny with this error is something collectors go crazy for, and it can push the price of the coin to significant heights. Another potential error on the 1982 penny is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is struck at the wrong angle, resulting in part of the design being cut off or misaligned. An off-center 1982 penny can be a unique and desirable piece for collectors who love to hunt for error coins. The more extreme the off-center error, the higher the value. It can turn a common penny into a rare collector's item that's worth far more than face value. But it's not just about errors, condition matters too. As with any rare coin, the better the condition, the more valuable it becomes. If you happen to have a 1982 Lincoln penny in uncirculated or gem condition, it could fetch a higher price, even without any minting errors. Coins that are in pristine condition, with sharp details and no wear or discoloration, are always in high demand. When a coin has been preserved carefully and looks like it just came out of the mint, collectors are willing to pay top dollar for it. So, how much could a 1982 Lincoln penny be worth? If you find one of those copper versions, or if you're lucky enough to come across one with a minting error, you're looking at a coin that could be worth an impressive $38,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $38,000 for a single penny. That's the kind of money collectors will pay for a rare find like this. In short, the 1982 Lincoln penny, despite its seemingly humble nature, can be a goldmine for coin collectors. Whether it's a copper penny, a double die error, or an off-center strike, there are so many variables that make this coin worth far more than its face value. For those lucky enough to find one of these rare pennies in good condition, you could be holding onto a piece of numismatic history that could change your life. So, the next time you're going through your pocket change or flipping through your coin collection, take a moment to carefully inspect any 1982 Lincoln pennies you come across. You never know when you might stumble upon that $38,000 penny. If you do, make sure to get it properly graded to maximize its value. Today's video is going to grab your attention. We're talking about a coin that's not only rich in history but also holds incredible potential for anyone lucky enough to stumble upon it, the 1970 Lincoln penny. Now, you might think, a penny from 1970? That's just a regular piece of currency, right? But let me tell you, this penny isn't just any ordinary coin. It's one that has been flying under the radar for many years, and there's a hidden treasure within this seemingly average penny. This coin could actually be worth $43,000 if you know what to look for. Sounds unbelievable, right? Well, stick with me, because we're about to uncover the rarity, the errors, and the incredible value of the 1970 Lincoln penny. You're going to want to hear this. Let's start by giving you some background on this coin. The 1970 Lincoln penny was struck at a time when the U.S. Mint was facing a significant change in the production of its coins. By the late 1960s, the U.S. Mint had already stopped producing the silver content that had once been used in coins like quarters and dimes, and it was transitioning into using more copper and other alloys. The 1970 Lincoln penny, just like other pennies from this era, was made primarily of copper and features the classic design of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, with the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. So, what makes this particular coin stand out from the rest of the 1970s pennies? There's actually a very rare feature that collectors are constantly on the lookout for, a specific type of minting error that can significantly increase the value of the coin. Let's dive into it. Point one of the key factors that make the 1970 Lincoln penny valuable is the existence of a double die error. This error happens when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned, and as a result, the image on the penny appears doubled, especially noticeable on the date or the word Liberty. These double die coins are one of the most sought after and valuable types of error coins. A 1970 double die penny is not only rare but also incredibly attractive to collectors, because it's a unique piece of history. If you happen to find one of these, you've struck gold. Now, I can hear you asking, how do I know if my 1970 penny has this error? The good news is, it's not that difficult to spot if you know where to look. Start by examining the date on the penny. If the date looks doubled, with the numbers of the year 1970 appearing to overlap or repeat, you've got yourself a coin that could be worth far more than its face value. The Liberty inscription on the obverse is another area to check for doubling. If it looks fuzzy or repeated, that's another sign that you might have an error coin on your hands, but there's more. While the double die error is the most famous and valuable flaw in the 1970 Lincoln penny, there are other minting mistakes that can make a coin like this worth more money. One of those is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not perfectly aligned with the die during the minting process. The result is a coin that has part of its design cut off or missing, making it even rarer and more appealing to collectors. A severely off-center penny could push the value up even further. In addition to errors, the condition of the coin plays a massive role in its value. Just like with any other rare coin, the better the condition, the higher the price. If your 1970 penny is in mint or uncirculated condition, meaning it looks like it just came out of the mint with no signs of wear or damage, you've got a piece that could sell for much more than face value, even without errors. Remember, collectors are constantly on the lookout for coins that are in pristine condition because they want to add the best examples to their collections. Now, you might be wondering, just how much could a 1970 Lincoln penny be worth? Well, let's get to the exciting part. If you have a double die error or an off-center strike, you could be holding a coin worth as much as $43,000. Yes, $43,000 for a single penny. It might sound too good to be true, but for collectors of error coins, the 1970 Lincoln penny with a rare flaw is considered a treasure. Even without an error, a well-preserved 1970 Lincoln penny in mint condition can fetch a respectable amount. But when you add the rarity of a minting error like a double die or off-center strike, that's when things really get exciting for collectors. These coins are a must-have for serious numismatists and are always in high demand at auctions and coin shows. So, if you've got a 1970 Lincoln penny in your collection, or if you come across one in your spare change, take a closer look. Make sure to check the date for any doubling, and inspect the coin's overall condition. It could very well be worth far more than you thought. To wrap things up, the 1970 Lincoln penny might seem like just another coin, but its rarity and potential errors make it one of the most exciting finds in the world of coin collecting. So, don't overlook that humble penny, because in the right condition and with the right error, it could be worth a staggering $43,000. Thanks for watching today's video. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of rare coins, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you won't miss any of our future videos. You never know when the next rare find might be sitting in your pocket change. Happy collecting, and good luck on your hunt for that $43,000 penny.